Growing your stream is brutal. There are thousands of unspoken rules that nobody tells you, so today I sat down to write out 10 tips for new streamers starting out and ended up with over 70 that you can do right now to improve your content. From settings to free tools to how to use YouTube or TikTok, dispelling myths or misunderstandings, setting up your audio, fixing your webcam, how to network, practice skills, and generally just how to be a better creator. You name it. This is the master video for you, the person who actually cares and wants to improve, made by me, the person who's been a full-time creator for over 6 years. So grab your pen and paper, make a checklist as we go of everything you want to do from this video, and comment at the end your score out of 70. I will also warn you, I can be a bit blunt and I will be giving a few tips that are controversial, especially tip 70, which is the most important and difficult to hear. Counter on the screen, timer on the screen, let's get into it. When you start your journey, you're going to have 0 viewers and you just have to be okay with that. Just kidding, screw that. You don't have to. In fact, you can go live to an audience immediately if you put the time and energy into gathering one on more discoverable platforms first, such as YouTube and TikTok. In fact, I will cover how to do that in full around tip 30 for an entire segment, so stick around for that. That said, you can ignore that entirely if your goal isn't to grow. When you start streaming, you should be realistic with yourself about what your goals actually are. Are you doing it to grow an audience and earn an income, or are you just doing it as a fun side hobby? And it doesn't have to be black or white. You can want to do it as a fun side hobby and also want to grow an audience. But where you need to get realistic with yourself is that sometimes doing what helps you grow and doing what is fun doesn't line up perfectly. That's just how life is. Comment your goal below the video, or at the very least, write down your goal right now on that piece of paper that's in front of you. And I will say, if you can't do that small task, you're probably going to struggle to do anything at all. Ever. Now, I want to show you the best way to avoid giving up, because this stuff is hard and there is an awful trap that makes so many new creators quit within weeks of starting because they just feel like crap. But first, let me show you this amazing microphone I'm using today and use in a lot of my videos, including viral gaming videos with 500,000 views, the Fifine K688. This is a dynamic mic, which means it has better noise rejection to cut out background noise. It uses smooth, twisty knobs to control volume and sensitivity, so viewers don't hear aggressive clicking when you try to change that. It's dual USB and XLR, so you can plug it right in now and use it like I am, or if you want, you can buy a fancy mixer and you don't need to replace it, which saves you money. As you can hear, it also sounds amazing, and the absolutely insane thing about this microphone is it costs only 80 USD, and that comes with a microphone arm. I've been using this microphone for voiceover and video for a long time now, and when I've shown blind audio tests to you guys comparing it to the Shure SM7B, nobody can tell a difference. Thank you to Fifine for sponsoring this video and for always doing so much to support the community, both mine and the community of small streamers and creators out there. If you want an amazing microphone, this one will be linked in the description. Now, how do we avoid quitting before we even get a chance to start? Well, you have to avoid writing goals or setting goals that you have no control over, meaning you need to write SMART goals: specific, measurable, actionable, relatable, and time-bound goals. This means get hyper-specific about the goal. Make sure whatever it is you can measure, make sure it's a clear action by you to achieve it, make sure it's relatable to your overall goal, and set a deadline for it. For example, a terrible goal is to say you want to reach affiliate or partner or get 15 viewers or 50 followers, because you do not control those things. Everyone else does. You can't spend 6 hours of your time working away right now and know you'll be affiliate by the end of it. An amazing set of goals could be script 5 YouTube shorts this week. That's specific. We're scripting shorts. It's measurable. We're scripting 5 of them. It's actionable. You can sit down and script them right now. It's relatable because learning to use other platforms helps you grow as a creator and person. Finally, it's time-bound, as in you're doing it this week. Comment your SMART goals below this video, or at the very least, write down your SMART goals on the paper in front of you. And again, if you can't do that, you're probably going to struggle. Since the goal seems to be growth, you need to plan your content with an audience in mind. If you are streaming or uploading videos, let's say about Zelda, and the next day you start playing Fortnite or Battlefield 6, you're not thinking about your audience. You ever watch Kitchen Nightmares? You know, Gordon Ramsay yells at shitty restaurant owners? Yeah, that same way Gordon Ramsay goes into some shithole restaurant and yells at them for having 50 dishes on a menu with no focus and says that's why the kitchen is slow and shit. That's why you're struggling. An audience is a group of people who will gravitate to the same topics because they like those topics. The goal is to keep appealing to them to grow. And before you get mad at me because I'm saying not to play Battlefield 6 on stream and you really love Battlefield 6, well, tip 5, Not everything in your life is meant to be content. Look, I know the world has tricked you into thinking you need to share every single thing online, but you're gonna hate yourself if you do that. Pick an audience, appeal to them, and keep the rest of the things you love for yourself. Don't turn everything you enjoy into something that is work. And that's also why you need a schedule. Your shithole restaurant might now only serve fish dishes. Awesome. But if people love your stinky fish on Wednesday nights, they're gonna want it again next Wednesday night. But if you're not open or don't even have a schedule on the door, they're not gonna bother. They'll go find a place they can rely on. Do you know how many streamers I don't watch anymore because I have no idea when they're going live? So pick at most 3 days, go live for 3 to 4 hours on those days, and use the rest of your time to live your life. Get fun stories you can tell on stream. Learn to edit, script offline videos and vertical content. And when you say you're gonna be live, then go be live. Speaking of being live, before you do, please go to your Twitch dashboard, go to settings, go to stream, click store broadcasts and publish broadcasts. And then a little below that is also clips. You probably want to turn these on as well. YouTube will let you set this up as well when you schedule a stream. And for the rest of these settings, I will mention if YouTube has an equivalent or not. Doing this is incredibly important for a lot of different reasons, but mainly I think the most important reason why you should be saving your VODs is so that you can use the 15-5-5-5-15 rule afterwards. What is that? Well, it's tip number 8, dummy. Go to your latest stream and watch the first 15 minutes. Hey, I closed that. I saw that. I said, watch the first 15 minutes. I didn't say put the first 15 minutes on, then open up a game or a different video or pick up your phone. Watch the fucking VOD for 15 minutes. And if it's so boring that you can't watch it, congratulations, you need to fix your content. So get a pen and paper, and while you watch those 15 minutes, make notes of what to improve. Once the 15 minutes is up, randomly skip ahead and watch for 5 minutes. That is simulating a new viewer clicking your stream. You're forced to watch for 5 minutes, but they can leave. So what can you improve? Write it down. Repeat this 5-minute section 2 more times, and then skip to the last 15 minutes and watch that as well. Once you're done, look down at your paper and you should have an entire page of improvements you want to make. This is called active reflection, and it's how you actually improve rather than pretending you watch your VOD back while actually just gaming on the side. While we're in our settings though, specifically the dashboard, settings, and stream, make sure you turn on disconnect protection. This keeps the stream live for 90 seconds if you disconnect randomly, and it'll show a little waiting screen, giving you time to reconnect without having to start an entire new stream, and it won't kick all your viewers out of the stream, ruining your average viewership. YouTube has a small version of this built in as well. Below that, if you want faster back and forth with chat, turn on low latency. If not, leave it as normal. Often chat engagement when you're small is a big aspect of growing, so keeping this delay low can help a lot, and YouTube also has versions of this on their stream dashboard as well. If you scroll further, you can see this let viewers upload clips button. If you want your viewers to be able to create fan channels easily for you by sharing vertical or horizontal clips of your content to their channels with your Twitch name attached to it, leave this on. If you don't want them to do that, turn this off and just be okay with the fact that there are external tools where they can rip all of your stuff, download it, and share it anyway. And below that, we have raid settings. Essentially, you can set permissions on who can raid you. This is great for dealing with hate raids or spam raids. You can set requirements like the raid requires at least 1 viewer, and it needs to be from an account that is over 30 days old, or whatever else you want. I don't recommend making this incredibly strict because raids are fun most of the time. And yes, YouTube does have a version of raids. It's just not as good, but you can turn that on if you want. Speaking of protection, I want to smash out a few pieces of advice for protection because a safe and fun stream is good for growth. Specifically, let's go settings, go to dashboard, settings, moderation. This is where you set up auto moderation on Twitch. It is amazing. It is the gold standard of moderation. I don't care what Twitch streamers say. They don't understand how good they have it. At the top, we have chatter permissions. This decides who can chat in your chat. Opening advanced, you'll see I let everyone chat as long as they have a verified email of over 2 weeks attached to their account. I've at times had the mobile verification on as well, and I will say, don't listen to people who say this kills chat activity. It was all fine for me. Granted, my audience tends to be adults who have phones and phone verification turned on anyway. If you're making content for children, well then maybe you're going to struggle a little bit more, but also you're making content for children, so you're going to struggle in general because that sounds like hell. What does kill chat activity though is using follower or sub only chat, which is below this. Turn it off, don't use it, And before you comment, if you're struggling with bots or spam, then just change your chatter permissions we just talked about. And also click this button below that to turn off links from chatters. Next, you're going to want to set up auto mod and message filters. Exiting advanced, we also have auto mod and message filtering. I set this to be quite light, as you can see, and increase it as you need. Below that is the channel protection section. I again have this set so that to follow the channel, you need to have a verified email of over 2 weeks. Again, this just helps stop spam raids or hate raids. And phone verification below that, which is off right now as well. Harmful chatter detection essentially lets Twitch help you catch potential chatters who could be harassers or even ban chatters on new accounts trying to get around said ban. I set these to monitor only so Twitch warns me and my mods to keep an eye on those chatters. While we're here, also turn on this little tool that stops banned users from viewing your stream. I had a guy who I banned who would hate watch every single stream constantly and then send me lovely messages across all my other socials about how I should off myself or all sorts of other kind messages. This just stops weirdos from being able to watch you. Sadly, you can't do that here on YouTube, or else you watching this probably wouldn't be able to see me, you little freak. While we're talking about protection, I've got a few final tips before we move on to making your stream more engaging and fun for viewers. Even though personally, I think protecting chat from people who ruin the vibe really is the most important way to make your stream engaging and fun for viewers. I just think you guys don't appreciate that. Next up, let's get a little controversial. Don't give mod or VIP status out to randoms or chatters you barely know, or even hardcore regulars. You guys are too willy-nilly with moderation and VIP status. Take it from someone who has made the mistake and learned from it. One bad mod or bad VIP can ruin the entire chat vibe. Only give these to trusted people who don't even ask for it. Seriously, if someone ever asks for mod or VIP, write that name down and never give it to them, because they don't want to help or they don't want to be a part of a community. They want status that puts them above the community. Keeping it moving, for the love of God, stop doxing yourself. Stop giving out your full name, your email, your birthday, name of your dog, your cat, your mum, or anything else. Seriously, the internet is forever and there's a lot of weirdos on the internet. I'm looking at one right now. Hey? The irony that I'm looking at my reflection. But when you decide to start making content, then that means it's time to make entirely new social media on a new set of email addresses that cannot be traced back to you and your personal life. Protect yourself, protect your family, protect your friends, and if you don't care about any of these people, at the very least, maybe just you care about protecting the growth of your content. Kind of selfish, but sure. Moving on, get BTTV. It's an extension for your browser, and if you have it, you'll suddenly understand why everyone keeps writing KEKW or other weird crap in chat. Those are emotes. Millions of emotes are being used daily by millions of chatters, and you can't see them because you don't have the extension that apparently every Twitch user needs to have. Next, write better titles. I'm sorry, if you're competing against other streamers and we want to get clicks, then lazily making your title the word Battlefield 6 or some other basic crap is not going to work. Write a funny title, write an opinion that'll get people clicking, like Battlefield 6 is better than every COD ever. It may be wrong, but trust me, people will click it to debate you. Write something that gets a click, and if you can't think of something, then likely you haven't put enough thought into your content. Because when you go live, you're not just playing games, you're making content. That means you should plan ideas, come up with concepts or challenges to overcome. A stream idea should be good enough that a viewer can understand the goal from the title. They'll then join and understand exactly where you are in reaching that goal, but also be engaged enough that they want to be there at the end when you reach the goal. Which leads us to tip 23, episodic content. It just doesn't work online anymore. Content needs to be drop-inable, which I know that's not a real word. Don't comment how it's not a real word like you did last time. Whether it's a stream or a video, it doesn't matter. If you create something that requires a viewer to have knowledge they might not have in order to click and enjoy it, such as maybe they needed to have been in an earlier stream or watched an earlier video in the series, well, if you do that, that new piece of content will likely fail. We have evidence that when you make episodic content, you lose 50% of your viewership on episode 2, and by episode 10, you're down to 20% of the original viewership. This is why creators like Ludwig or Conordog play giant games in one sitting, like Final Fantasy or Elden Ring. Not because they want to torture themselves, but because if they streamed it every day for 2 or 3 weeks, by the end, they would have no one watching them anymore, because they had so much previous content that people had to absorb in order to enjoy where they were up to. It's also why these creators now upload one large edit that any viewer can click, watch, and enjoy without having to do homework and watch dozens of other pieces of content first. Next up, make a playlist or folder of engaging music, either for the background of your stream or just for editing. For streaming, I love Chill Hop, Game Chops, NCS, or artists like Baby No Money and Good Kid who have given full rights to use their music. You'll find you have a lot less dead air on stream if you both have good music to keep you going, but also to fill the pauses in general. And before you bring it up, no, you can't use whatever copyright music you want. And no, VOD removal isn't a genius workaround. You can still get banned. You are still using copyright material. And honestly, hard truth time for you. If your stream is so shit you need to use copyright music just to make it watchable, then damn, I'm sorry, dude. That's rough, buddy. Speaking of rough, don't do giveaways. Well, okay, I've done giveaways. You can do giveaways, but don't ask for followers or subs in exchange for giveaways. Mostly because in some countries that's actually illegal, but also if you get 2,000 new followers or new YouTube subs thanks to offering a giveaway, congratulations, that's 2,000 people who will never watch your content ever again, and that tells YouTube you make shit content. But if you do want to do a giveaway, then you should do a giveaway that encourages people to watch the video in full and then comment something down below. That tells YouTube the video retention is high and engaging, which boosts it in the algo. At least that's what I do. I tell people, hey, if you want to enter this giveaway, watch to the end to find out how. And it works really well. Maybe a hot take that'll get me in trouble on stream or Twitter, but I don't think you should make a Discord. Everyone will say to make one immediately or very soon after creating a stream account, and they're not wrong really, but the time investment to keep it active and make it worth it is where the snag happens. I would say at your size, there's probably no point right now. And as you grow, really it becomes a discussion around your time to manage the community versus time to create. When you add a Discord into the mix, one of two things will happen. You spend a lot of time encouraging and engaging every new member to keep it active, losing time that you can or should be spending on YouTube and TikTok content. Or number two, you don't spend time encouraging and engaging with every new member, so the server stays dead quiet, because the reality is, unless there are already a base of 15 to 20 people actively chatting each day, likely new members will never look at it again. Your best bet is to focus on learning to create content, learning to appeal to the same audience on TikTok and YouTube over and over. And when you have grown from doing that, promote your new community server. The flood of a group coming in all at once makes it easier to keep the server alive. Next up, this is a weird one, but can we stop copying big streamers? So often small creators just completely rip off big creators thinking it will help them grow, but in reality, you're just being lazy and inauthentic, which viewers can smell from miles away. Seriously, one of the biggest reasons people struggle to grow is they have no opinions or thoughts of their own. They have nothing to share, and that's just incredibly inauthentic. At best, you just never grow or gain anything, you just look a bit dumb. At worst, you end up like that guy who spent 3 years streaming dressed like Dr. Disrespect and acting like a Temu version of him, only to find out that you're impersonating a guy who cheats on his wife and hits on kids in their DMs. Maybe just be yourself. In fact, let's go even further. Let's just stop watching big streamers all the time. Go watch smaller creators. Pay attention to what they do that you like and dislike, what they do well, what they don't do well, what you think you could learn from them. Because you're gonna learn a whole lot more doing that than going and watching someone do whatever they want while thousands of people spam hype emotes desperate for a shred of attention from that big creator. And before we move on to budget gear, external socials for growth, fixing your audio, webcam, learning to master new skills, and even networking, the last two tips of this segment are just ignore all those tips so far and start. Jump in, get your feet wet, realize it's not scary, and then slowly work through everything you need to do, and don't feel overwhelmed because there's no rush to finish all of this. Creating content is a marathon, not a sprint. So you can do it slowly at your own pace. And on the topic of ignoring people, please for the love of God, ignore streamer Reddit and ignore streamer Twitter. You gain nothing from engaging with those idiots, but you will lose brain cells and be tricked into focusing on shit that doesn't matter from some wannabe streamer laughing as a journalist on Twitter. Right now, we're talking about how lurkers no longer count towards your view count, which is actually perfectly on schedule because we argued about that 6 months ago and a year ago, and it does tend to come up every 6 months, which is exciting because I can't wait for when we debate starting soon screens in a few weeks. All right, let's talk about budget gear, everything you'd need outside of a PC. Quickly, when I say budget, my definition is less expensive than other products while being just as good, if not better. First up, microphone. I mean, I don't need to say it, it's the best place to start. It will last you an insanely long time. The Fifine K688, link to this microphone and a full video I did on it in the description. I also recommend you grab a microphone arm because one of the best audio upgrades you can do is by mounting your mic properly. As you'll learn later in the video, placement is 90% of your mic's quality, and you can grab the Fifine arm alongside the K688 in a bundle. Personally, I am using my Thron Max S6 low profile because I've had it for years, it's sleek, out of my shot, and it has full 360 degrees of movement. Most importantly, it has never sagged or had any issues for me, so I just keep using it. But I will say the Thron Max is much more expensive. In fact, you can get the mic arm and the K688 in that bundle for cheaper than just this mic arm. And it comes in pink and white. Next, the OBSBOT Meet 2 4K is the best webcam. It is insane. Look at some of this footage. It is 4K, it is f1.8, it's crisp, clear, it has tools built into it so it auto tracks when you move around, and it's under $100. I did a full video on this webcam. It's insane. I'll link it below. Next up, lighting. I've covered lights a lot on this channel, probably far too much. I use Neewer lights, specifically the Neewer GL1C lights. They're amazing. They're bright, they're color accurate, they're full RGB. They have presets like fireworks, police sirens, you name it, it's got it. And they are cheaper than other lights on the market that get recommended more for some reason, despite the fact they do less. These ones are higher up on the price range of the Neewers, so I will also make sure I link down below a video, as well as some of the less expensive ones that are still much better than all the rest of the ones on the market. Next up, stop spending money on expensive crap you don't need! I'm sorry, that was a little too intense. Let me try again. Stop spending money on expensive crap you don't need. Most of those brands you're getting recommended every day by big influencers, they aren't genuine recommendations. Influencers recommend expensive products to you because if you buy it, they earn more than if you buy a budget product. That's why they're recommending you a $300 mic. Not because it's good, but because they get a higher cut. And before we move on to using external socials to grow and be discovered, we need to wrap this gear segment up by saying, stop spending money because you're too lazy to learn how things work. I would say once a week. In fact, no, I take that back. I would say twice a week, I meet a small creator with 0 viewers who has bought an entire second PC and is trying but failing to set up dual PC streaming and recording because their OBS or game is lagging. And when I ask them what kind of lag or what their stats panel says, they don't know. They don't even know where the stats panel in OBS is. And the reason is because they've never tried to troubleshoot or figure out if the settings they had were right or what the type of lag was or how they had to fix it. They just leapt straight to spending money. Why? This happens with audio as well. You don't need a Shure SM7B or a fancy mixer. If you can't sound good on an inexpensive USB setup, you are going to sound worse on an expensive SM7B setup. Okay, let's talk about discovery platforms. I'm so excited for this one. This is like my jam. I love this shit. Remember at the start when I said to make sure you knew your audience and kept them in mind? When it comes to YouTube and TikTok, that is the most important part. You're not playing just one game or covering just one topic. You're appealing to the same audience, and to find them, it requires time and care. But the actual tip here that I need you to listen to really carefully is once you have an audience in mind, you want to appeal to them and then never use the word algorithm ever again. The algorithm is not a mystery. It can be explained in a single sentence. Are you ready? Listen very carefully. The algorithm is how the audience reacts to a video. If YouTube shows your video on the homepage, which if you're a small creator, it will because it's aggressively pushing small creators right now, and people click your video because of the title and thumbnail and then watch a large or above average amount of it, then that is a positive audience reaction and YouTube will try to show the video more. However, if YouTube shows it and people don't click it, or if they do click it and then leave immediately, that's a bad audience reaction, so YouTube will stop sharing it. Don't ask why the algo is hurting you. Ask why or how you aren't appealing to the audience properly. Now, when it comes to getting clicks, it is almost entirely down to 2 things. The first is very obvious, giving the potential viewers a reason to click or value, but the second is more difficult to understand, and that's TAM, T-A-M, or total audience metric. This means creating content that is understandable and appealing to the largest possible audience without becoming vague or losing focus. I like to imagine I take my title and thumbnail down to the old lady at the local fish and chip shop, and if she could understand my video's premise, I've done a good job. The best way to understand this is with a test. So we're going to look at 3 titles, and they're going to be about microphone reviews as an example. Title A, Throat Guzzler 3000B XLR Vibration Review. Title B, Throat Guzzler 3000B gives perfect vocals on a budget. Title C, this microphone has perfect quality audio on a budget. Which do you think is best? I'll give you a second. Okay, that's a second. If you said A, congratulations, that's the worst possible answer. That video title only appeals to people who know what the Throat Guzzler 3000B is, and even worse, specifically want to know about the XLR version of it and are seeking a review. That is a tiny portion of your total audience metric. If you said B, you're better off, but still shit. This one gives value to the viewer, making them more likely to click by saying it gives perfect vocals on a budget. Awesome. but it still uses the name of the mic in the title, which means people need to know what that is. And I do feel like using the word vocals will lower TAM by being hyper specific about how viewers have to use it. Title C, we are getting much closer to what we are looking for. Our value is perfect quality audio on a budget, aka it's amazing audio and it's inexpensive. But we also opened the title by saying this microphone, so people know it's a microphone video, but they don't need to know which microphone. And in fact, it's actually better that they don't know what type of microphone it is immediately, because now they're intrigued and they have to click to find out. Check out creators like Scamboli, who use this concept and rule to make their anime video essays absolutely explode in views. And you'll see it consistently happening across every single niche. In the same vein, TAM absolutely and heavily applies to thumbnails. You'll see Scamboli doesn't use his face anywhere, and lots of creators blowing up now refuse to use their face in thumbnails because nobody knows who they are. You guys, new creators, will copy Mr. Beast or Ludwig and throw your face into your thumbnail, but you don't realize you hold no value to a new viewer. TAM is mostly for titles and thumbnails in long form, but it also heavily applies to short format. Let's say you're swiping through your shorts and the intro 3 seconds are hyper specific and aren't understandable or relatable to you. Well, you're gonna keep swiping. So you need your intro, your first 3 to 5 seconds, to be relatable and have context for the largest TAM, so they don't just swipe away. I love Shrimpy's art shorts as an example when I try and help people learn about an opening hook. He opens almost all of his shorts by saying, "Are you one of those people who?" And that is amazing at getting a viewer to stick around. It is aimed directly to them and is usually followed by a relatable struggle, like learning how to draw hands, for example. "Oh my God, I am one of those people who struggles to draw hands. He's talking to me." All right, it's time to get controversial again. If you're using stream footage and stream clips for your YouTube shorts or TikToks, you're an idiot. No, I'm just kidding. You've been lied to, which is a little bit worse, to be honest. A bit back, myself, Reap, Sharky, and a lot of other creators worked together to essentially learn how to use short format on YouTube. And what we found was that stream clips being converted to vertical 99 out of 100 times will fail to even break the testing phase of 5,000 views, which, side note, if you didn't know, if your vertical video is getting under 5,000 views, it usually means YouTube tested it to a group of people and it didn't perform very well, so it stopped sharing it. In fact, the lower the number, so let's say you get 200 views and it completely stops, that means the audience had a pretty bad reaction to it. Twitch or stream clips almost always failed because there's no real format or structure to them that keep people sticking around. Yes, sometimes they'd do well, but it was never repeatable or controllable. And honestly, you do not want success if you cannot continue to capture that success consistently. However, when we started planning, recording, and editing vertical content that was specifically designed to have a hook, a goal, and a reason to keep watching, we started seeing huge numbers. Reaps, to this day, is still getting millions of views on his shorts by doing this. The advice of blanket converting Twitch clips to vertical is usually given by giant creators who succeeded by doing it and don't understand they are the exception, not the rule. Survivor bias is a very real thing, and these people don't realize that new creators cannot do exactly what they did and see success. That's also why so many of you are failing at long form. YouTube these days pushes small creators on the homepage aggressively, but because, as we said, you don't understand TAM, you don't get clicked. And if you do get clicked, the videos fail to keep viewers watching because you've got badly edited stream footage, montages, compilations, or reactions that viewers just don't care about. YouTube in 2025 can be best described as story. You're sending your viewers on a journey, either literally or metaphorically, setting out with a goal in mind, like becoming a better streamer, and then having to overcome obstacles to get there. But when the video finishes, they're going to leave having felt something and being changed. Look at Shawnee Dew or Floydson with their 100-day videos. These are massive, brutally difficult videos to make, but the story and journey are engaging, unique, and above all else, hugely valuable to a viewer. Keeping it controversial, stop interrupting viewers by wanting value from them rather than offering value so good they naturally support you. Asking for likes, asking for subs, all of that crap before even a single piece of value, before the video has barely even started, that's crazy. When you create, think like a viewer, because let's be real, you are one. And when you as a viewer saw creators spam you and take ages to give you what you clicked for, you got mad. So focus on story, offer people value, and subscribe. I'm enjoying the controversial stuff, so you know what? Stop using every single set of social media. Just pick one to focus on and get really good at it. If you spread yourself thin by streaming, making shorts, making videos, Insta posts, Twitter, all of it, blah, 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 then congratulations, you're gonna stay shit forever. Hell, I struggle to do shorts and videos on a single channel. You better believe having 2 channels where I make 2 different forms of long form content is hell on earth for me. And I'm a dad, so I have absolutely no time to myself. Stop spreading yourself thin and uploading garbage. Focus up, focus in, and become amazing at one format until you have the experience, resources, and audience to expand into other formats. Because getting just good, not even great, will take hundreds of uploads, thousands of hours of work, and that's okay. That's actually awesome. The feeling of investing yourself into becoming good at something is better than anything you've ever felt. Looking at the first video you uploaded versus a year later, oh my God, it's amazing. You'll love it. You just have to actually stick to it and try to improve. So before we move on to audio quality, webcam quality, how to master skills, and even how to network properly, I want to wrap up the external social section by saying I made 2 videos. One, showing how I monetized a new faceless gaming channel with 0 self-promotion or 0 telling my audience about it in just 6 uploads. That'll be linked in the description, alongside a video all about how I got millions of views on short format content without promoting it at all to any established audiences. All right, let's talk audio. I'll smash this out and link a more detailed video below, but first, for God's sake, learn to properly use your microphone. I'd say 90% of audio quality comes from placement, but you've got people placing their mics an arm's length away from them or aiming it away from their mouth entirely. Hell, I have a mate who kept complaining about his audio, and then when I finally cracked and asked where his mic was, he said it was behind his monitor. He was talking at nothing. The sound comes out of your mouth, guys. Put the microphone in front of your fucking mouth. What? Aim it at the mouth where the sound comes out of. Then max out those physical knobs that control sensitivity or gain on it, and then lower the Microsoft Windows mic sensitivity until the levels show you are loud, but not peaking or over exploding, which is usually inside yellow near the top with headroom for laughter or yelling. Also, try to keep your mic away from your keyboard as well. Nobody wants to hear you slamming on those mechanical keys that you don't actually need or use properly. If you don't understand audio levels or mixing, that's totally fine. Here is a lovely graph for you. If your audio is hitting the top of the red, it's likely too loud. If it's in the middle to low end of green, it's likely going to be quite quiet. Your voice should land around -10 to -6. Your game audio should be around -20 to -15. The background music would be about -22 to 28. And then remember, all of these rules are just kind of like guidelines to get started. And the best way to actually check your audio is to set it all up, record something, take it into editing software, and then listen back. Stop! Let me finish. Listen back to it while watching your audio levels. I saw you listening back with just headphones. Do not trust your headphones or speakers or whatever else you're using. They will lie to you. Only trust what the little level bar says, okay? And then next, once you've got everything set up, you need to learn about audio filters. Even a basic understanding will go miles, and thankfully, you're gonna get that right now. The first thing you have to learn is that audio filters actually apply in a chain, one leading into the next. If we're using OBS, for example, then filters are applied top to bottom, and placing them incorrectly, like certain stream education TikTok channels will do, make you sound shit. Once you placed your mic correctly and leveled it properly, you likely want a noise gate. Imagine audio is like water. When a little bit of water hits the noise gate, it's not gonna open. But when a lot hits it all at once, it opens before closing again when it feels the rush has died down. So smaller sounds like mouse clicks, background noise, things that are far away won't manage to open the gate, but your voice leveled properly and placed properly will open it. Now, reminder, once the gate's open, everything's coming through, which means if there is background noise, it'll come through when you speak. This isn't removing background noise from your audio, it's just not letting it activate your mic. When it comes to removing background noise entirely, there are 3 methods. First, fix the placement and sensitivity of your microphone. Get it closer to you, further from the noise, and lower the sensitivity slightly. Second, just remove the background noise entirely. Personally, when I record, I turn off my fans, my air conditioners, I wait for my wife and my daughter to be at work or daycare, which I couldn't do today, so you might be able to hear her outside the room. If you can't, hey, credits to Fifine. But the goal should be to create a quiet environment so that you can get clean recordings without filters. And if you can't do that, then sure, yes, okay, you can add noise suppression, but just add it very lightly. Do not go crazy, because voice suppression is not clever. It's not going to use some crazy and magical tool to cut out everything except your voice. It just cuts out certain frequencies and usually only works for white noise like fans and air conditioning. If you apply this too heavily, your voice is going to get cut out or scratchy or high-pitched and just sound gross and nasally like mine does on a normal day. That's also why you should never trust those influencers on Twitter that fucking blast a fan or hairdryer or some other crap right next to themselves, and then they turn on some magic branded noise suppression tool that they've been paid to promote. They turn it on and then speak really carefully and leveled like perfectly so like it doesn't break the audio. But in reality, if you use those things and then actually tried to record or stream, you would sound like ass. You don't naturally have a perfect voice when you record, and those tools will affect you as well. Another amazing filter, the compressor. This brings your loudest sound down a bit and raises your quiet sounds back up with makeup gain. Essentially, it levels you out nicely, but like all filters, don't use this heavily. Just add a light compressor or you'll begin to sound flat and boring, again, like I do in my day-to-day. Finally, if you're using OBS, which you likely are if you're watching this, then you don't need all those external audio tools anymore. Seriously, Voicemeeter, Sonar, Elgato's Wave, whatever, it had a place sort of for a while, but OBS has been updated so much, you don't need any of it anymore. Keep life simple, keep it easy, stop overcomplicating everything. Speaking of simple and easy, I'm going to break down webcams, or at least camera exposure, in just 3 tips that will change your life. Are you ready? I can't hear you. I don't know why you replied to me. I genuinely recorded this weeks ago. First, you need to understand exposure. This is how bright or dark your image is and how to balance it so that you or your subject is correctly exposed, using specifically the exposure triangle. All cameras or webcams have an f-stop. This refers to the aperture inside the lens that opens and closes to let light in. A lower f-stop means more light is let in, and it's better for blur or depth of field, as you can see behind me. This is an f1.8, so I have depth of field and I have blur, and it's great. Next corner of the triangle, this is your digital brightness. You're digitally using this to raise or lower the sensitivity of your entire image, and because it's digital, you're going to create digital artifacting or noise, degrading the image when you raise your brightness up with this. Final corner, shutter speed. Now, unless you're shooting action sports or filming long exposure footage, usually this will sit double your FPS. So 30 FPS, 60 shutter, 60 FPS, 120 shutter. The reason is because this gives the most natural look. Higher shutter speed means less light, and slower speeds means more light. Obviously, because if it's opening and shutting really fast, less light's getting in, whereas if it's opening and closing slower, more light can get in. This also affects your motion blur and how you move as well, because the higher shutter speed will capture more little bits of your motion. So, rough starting point in order to get the best image, you want the lowest ISO possible, the lowest f-stop possible, and as I said, shutter speed, double your FPS for that natural look. If you do these rules and you're too dark, then you need to increase the brightness of your key lighting, which are those Neewers I linked earlier. If you do the triangle and you're too bright, however, then you can remove light by lowering your key light's brightness or raise your f-stop slightly. Granted, that will also remove some of your depth of field. Once you've done all of this, you'll likely notice your skin tones might look a little bit weird. That's because one of the most common mistakes people make is not setting their white balance correctly. White balance is the number that refers to or tells your lights and camera what type of lighting you're in and what to read the colors of that lighting, because all light has color. For skin tones like mine, I personally set my lights to around 4700 Kelvin and then match that on my cameras as well. As you can see, my t-shirt looks quite white. When it comes to lighting yourself, try to keep most of the lights that are on you and your skin to the exact same color temperature, or else it'll start to look weird. And it also helps if you do this, because then you can use different colors, such as this orange light behind me that's 3200 Kelvin, and that'll help separate me from the background. Some people also actually shoot the light onto the shoulders and hair, which will give another set of separation. On the topic of background, if you have lights like the ones I have in the background and they're overexposed or blown out, they'll likely look a bit white. You can solve this by either dimming them with a controller they come with, or if they're not dimmable, then you can raise your key lighting that is on yourself to be brighter, and then try to lower the ISO overall. Or if your ISO is as low as it goes, you increase your f-stop or increase your shutter speed. Essentially, the method you're doing is, if your background is overexposed, you want to bring your foreground, your subject, to also match that overexposure, and then you're going to cut the entire image's lighting and exposure down so that neither you nor your background are overexposed anymore. All right, let's talk mastery, how to gain skills, how to learn, and how to improve. First up, Streaks. It's an app I use where I set a daily task such as don't drink soft drink or go for a walk or script a YouTube short. And every day I do that task, I tick it off. The goal, of course, being to build a streak over a long period of time. Why? Because most success in life comes from consistency, because consistency becomes discipline, which becomes habit. And when you have habit, you no longer need motivation. I got asked recently if there was an alternative app to Streaks for people. And when I set a literal calendar on the wall to write X's on, I got called an idiot. But that's what most people used before the app and what a lot of us still use to this day. Next up, if you're trying to master something, don't just use SMART goals, but get even deeper into the practice. For example, let's say you want to learn the skills of becoming a video editor. If two people walk into a computer lab, but only have 60 minutes to practice video editing, and one person has the goal of being a better editor, while the other has the goal of learning how to level audio properly, who is going to learn more in those 60 minutes? Spoiler, it's the person who came in with a specific and measurable goal in mind. They'd narrowed it down to something they had to focus on. Now, in terms of learning, one of the best things you can do as a potential creator or streamer is learning to speak. And you might think, oh, I already know how to speak. Well, no, I'm talking about presenting or projecting so your voice doesn't sound boring or flat, or most importantly, so that you don't hate the sound of your own voice. What I'm about to tell you is advice that I have given to thousands of different people at this point, and I know only 4 or 5 people who have taken it on board. And those people who I know for sure took it on board are now full-time content creators who do this for a living. This is the 10-minute daily recording exercise. This is when you sit down by yourself, turn on your phone camera and record for 10 minutes straight, trying to fill all the 10 minutes with you speaking. Do not open a game. Do not put music on. Don't do anything else to help you. Don't plan out what to talk about or add dot points. This is just you and the camera off the cuff with no planning. Then when you're done, stop recording and do not watch it back. Go about your day, go have dinner, do whatever you want to do. And then the next day, open your phone and watch the 10 minutes in full. Focus on it without distraction and make notes about what you need to improve. Immediately, as soon as you're done, hit record and do another 10 minutes. Repeat this process every single day, and within a few weeks, you'll see massive improvements. Within a few months, you'll be a different person, and within years, you'll never pause, hesitate, you won't say or and of course, as I said, you won't cringe at the sound of your own voice anymore. I am about to be harsh, but if you can't find 10 to 20 minutes to practice arguably one of the most important skills a creator can have, that will also hugely benefit you in your day-to-day life, you probably won't make it. The 4 or 5 people who are massive creators now, they didn't blow up because they listened to this advice and became great speakers. They blew up because they listened to the advice, thought that could help them, and then put it into action. The effort they put in is where they differ from the people who listen to this and then won't go on and try it. That's why they succeeded. They heard something could help them, they did the thing. Which is tip 64, to be curious about becoming better, to be okay being uncomfortable and being okay with sucking. Discomfort usually means you have a chance to grow as a person, and that is fucking sick. I love being uncomfortable, as weird as that sounds to say out loud, because it means I usually have a chance to be better. Speaking of discomfort, let's talk about the ways that you guys network, because wow, does that make me cringe. You need to stop trying to grow from self-promotion and lower for posts. On Twitch, it's lazy and can be against terms of service, but on platforms with actual algorithms, listening to audience feedback, it will kill your channel. Earlier, we talked about giveaways creating inflated follows. Now imagine if YouTube tried to share a video to those followers and they chose not to click. That negative signal will destroy you. When you spam self-promo and get fake follows or fake subs, you're telling platforms that people hate your videos. Next up, don't try to make friends purely for the value they can offer you. The amount of people who I thought I was great friends with who just stopped replying to me the moment I wasn't a source of raids or collabs is real sad, man. Like I'll message people still to this day and be like, hey, how are you doing? And they'll just, nothing. It's incredibly common with streaming and stream communities. It's less so on YouTube, actually. I find YouTubers are much more community focused with other YouTubers. So what do? Well, one of the best things you can do for networking is to slowly and naturally meet people. Find people you mesh with and create your circle. Find the people you trust who have the same work ethic as you, same morals as you, and try not to get dragged into drama or hate. I'm not saying avoid engaging in the wider community, but just try to be kind to those around you and keep your head down everyone focused on creating your content or your art. A great example of getting dragged into the drama, and I'm sorry, this story is a little bit long, but it's important. I went to a convention last year in 2024. I went to PAX Australia, where one of the most well-known names in my region, who is very well connected, and their entire brand is about kindness, positivity, and inclusivity, approached me at a Twitch partner-only event and began saying they hated me, that everyone in the region hates me, that I'm annoying, awful, and I shouldn't engage with the wider community anymore. Specifically, I shouldn't engage apparently in the Twitch partner Discord anymore. When I asked why, they didn't really have an answer except for saying that it seemed like I was either autistic or had ADHD, which I was so taken aback, I didn't even realize how gross that was at first. To say that I'm essentially awful and that it's likely because I'm on the spectrum? Like, what? They did this in front of other partners as well, and I think they realized that at that point they were losing the room. So they then tried to get me to leave and go one-on-one with them to talk. Thankfully, the core, the people I trust, were around that night, so I was able to tell that person no, get out of that situation, and then I stuck close to the people who I could trust for the rest of the night. Shout out to Twitch staff as well for that entire weekend. They were a fantastic safe place for creators like myself. But sadly, not everyone is that fortunate. Sometimes people who are isolated have things like this happen and don't have a support network, which is why I'm trying to encourage you to find your support network early. Next tip is sort of still connected. I don't have any hate towards that person. Granted, it was such a bad experience that I canceled my attendance to PAX this year, and I probably won't go to another convention anytime soon. But that point aside, I think in this day and age, sometimes we get so wrapped up in thinking we know the creators we see online. But in reality, the person who did that to me and I have never talked really. We've never interacted, maybe some surface level back and forths, but they don't know me. I don't know them. They don't know what I stand for, what I like, dislike. We don't know each other. So, tip 68, don't allow your commenters, communities, and other creators who only see you as a 2D character to determine your worth. And in reverse, don't assume you know everything about other creators you're looking at. We can never truly know other creators from just what we see online, and it's so important to have empathy because some people are really struggling out here, man, and you don't assume you know them, yeah? But how do you find your community? How do you combine all of this? Not self-promoting, improving yourself, finding like-minded people who value being better every day? Well, you do that over a long period of time. And it's actually the core reason I started the Stream Scheme Discord, because when I started, I tried joining content creation or streamer servers, and it was all shitty self-promo, scams, and drama. But now, our server not only has over 80,000 members all working hard to improve themselves, but also a dozen volunteers who range from tech experts to full-time content creators who are there to offer support and education. On the side, I have also created dozens of free animated overlays, stingers, effects, and more that you guys can use. Just don't go and upload them to your own Discord or YouTube channel and pretend they're yours. Why does this keep happening? But seriously, you're welcome there, and you're welcome to get some advice. I'm there for at least 3 hours every day. And for the final tip, last time I gave this piece of advice, the video went viral, got 3 million views, and it really upset people. I told you guys at the end of a very big video that if you had tried for months to grow and you weren't seeing success, if you were at 0 viewers on Twitch, 0 viewers on your videos, if nothing was working, then to stop. And people got mad. They turned off the video immediately, and they missed the entire end of the sentence, which was stop doing the same thing over and over expecting results, and instead step back, protect your mental health, be critical, be constructive, focus in, and improve yourself so you can succeed. Just like let me finish speaking for 3 seconds before you angrily comment next time. Come on. But seriously, don't make excuses or dig your heels in and pretend like everyone else is the problem, because viewers don't care about the fact that we work a 9 to 5 or work 3 jobs like I did when I started, or have kids like I do now, or have a diagnosed anxiety condition that makes you hate putting yourself out there, so you wear a hat and a jean jacket in 34-degree weather. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful in some way. I will see you guys next week. Subscribe.